to say a couple of thanks. Those from Temple Grove who looked after Mum so well in her final years, and also special thanks to Robin and Elaine, because they attended and cared for her for the last few years when I was miles away, and I really do appreciate everything you've done. So the eulogy. Mum, Eileen Croxall, was born on the 1st of March 1931 to Jack and Iris, and spent most of her childhood in Brighton, and she remembered her and her younger sister Audrey growing up during the war. While most London children were evacuated, their mother actually moved them up to London for a brief stay, as she thought Brighton was unsafe. This turned out to be true, as on one occasion, instead of going to a shelter where the air warning sounded, she and Audrey decided to run home, only to be chased and machine-gunned by a German pilot. They hid in a doorway and had a severe telling off when they got home. Mum also loved ice skating, but she fell foul of the matriarch of the family, Gran, her grandmother, who wouldn't let her out of the house with such a short skirt, when randy American and Canadian soldiers were around. Eileen's first job was at Hannington's department store in Brighton, and that is where our Uncle David first remembers meeting his future sister-in-law. David remembers how Mum and Audrey were the epitome of sibling rivalry, and as soon as they saw each other, it was constant warfare. Mum married our dad Bill in March 1952, maximising the tax savings. He was a scoutmaster, and between them, they set up the Scouts in Saltdean, and I remember going on an exciting camping trip and midnight hikes with the older boys. Mum was also a keen member of the Young Wives and Women's Institute. In 1958, Elaine was born, and a few years later, Audrey, David, Mark and Jane also moved to the road opposite our home. These were good times, and soon another cousin Charlie was born, and Elaine and I had a new brother Robin. We had outgrown our family home and moved in 1966 to Chailey, where I think Mum was most happy. She founded the Chailey Flower Club with some friends and won awards for her skills in flower arranging. She was also a governor here at the local school. We then moved to Bishopstone, and while I'd left home, the family moved again to Cooksbridge. Unfortunately, our parents' marriage failed, and Mum found happiness with Clive, her second husband. Mum and Clive lived in the old schoolhouse in Alfriston. David has fond memories of spending weekends with Audrey, Mum and Clive. Mum was a great giggler, and David recalls how one day they got caught in the rain, and David put up his umbrella, grabbed Mum, and the two of them jumped into puddles, doing a singing in the rain act, falling about laughing. Mum and Clive often holidayed in Austria, a country she really enjoyed, as evidenced by her photos, usually containing either a thumb or some random Australian walking into the picture. Living in Alfriston, Mum and Clive got involved with the local community, and they ran the local youth club and were active with running the annual village fete. Mum was also good at arts and craft and ran her own wool shop in the village, selling her own knitwear and embroidery. Elaine, Robin and I inherited Mum's green fingers, and we all enjoy gardening. However, Robin's excellent culinary skills were not inherited from Mum. She was not the best of cooks, but she was a brilliant baker, and we all do bake a very good cake. Mum enjoyed reading, crosswords and playing games. After Clive died, Mum moved back to Chailey into a sheltered flat where she enjoyed her garden, bird watching and games nights. Having been roped in to be a caller, and Pat's here, at some of their bingo nights, I can say that bingo night at Grantham Close was a riot, that's to say the least. Mum celebrated her 90th birthday at Temple Grove nursing home, her final home. Despite COVID, people who looked after her made this a great celebration. Knowing what a sweet tooth she had, they baked her a birthday cake and made her feel very special. Despite considerable initial reluctance, Mum loved living at Temple Grove, the friends she made and the people who looked after and cared for her. Elaine, Robin and I are delighted and grateful that our mother was looked after by people who genuinely cared for her and thought of her as family. Thank you.